Good evening. Still quite nice out there. Welcome to Dice and Bolts, where I take a look at the core dice and bolts, dice mechanic of some of the various different RPGs that grace my shelf. Second video of the evening, and I am looking at indie RPG called Donjon. I'm not sure where you're going to get this one from. It was at a website called Anvil Works with an E, W-E-R-K-S, but that seems to redirect to a Tagalog Mamorpaga website at the moment. I believe it might still be on Drive-Thru RPG. It's by a guy called Clinton R. Nixon. It was playtested by Vincent Baker, and it was, I believe, the first indie RPG that I kind of got. So I got it in PDF format. It was like $10. It wasn't very much. And it's the first game that I can remember having where you'd got narrative successes and player narrative agency over more traditional GM party roles for it. The core dice mechanics of it are very, very elegant, and it does actually facilitate GM-less play. I played a quick game of it with a couple of friends of mine, and you can kind of get the player to the left to do the GM's roles for it because you're building narrative successes into the game itself. And the game uses 20-sided dice, or rather, a lot of 20-sided dice. I ran this at a convention once, and I said, oh, you need a few 20-sided dice. And then we played the first kind of round or first scene, and then all of the players ran straight to the dice hall, and they bought him out of standard D20s. Yeah. Probably 10, maybe 13. If you're really a min-maxed player, 13 dice, because of the way the mechanics work. The core dice and bolts of it is, when you want to do something, you would have your stat plus skill, or your saving throw, if you're making a saving throw for something, and then possibly an equipment modifier. Stats tend to run 1 to 5. Skills tend to go 1 to 5 maximum, and equipment kind of tops out at 3 extra dice. You may need a couple of extras, come on to that in a moment, versus the GM's pool. So the GM would roll monster difficulty based on the level, or the monster stat plus skill if it's an active opposition like that, plus the level of the dungeon. So it's kind of got like a console RPG feel to it. So it's like, oh, we're in a level 1 dungeon for this one, or we're in a level 3 dungeon for this one. And that just adds dice to the GM's pool on top of the core difficulties. So for an easy task, just an uncontested task, not a combat roll, easy is 0 plus a dungeon level. Kind of medium is 3 plus a dungeon level, 6, 9, and then 12 for a crazy hard. So 12 dice plus a dungeon level. So to scale up a stone wall with handholds might be difficulty 3. If it's level 1 of the dungeon or a level 1 area, you add 1 to it, so the GM is rolling 4 dice. Fairly straightforward. And the way that the dice plays is quite unique, and I didn't see anything similar until I got Jade Claw and Iron Claw, which sadly I don't have anymore, which is a bit of a shame. And I'm going to have to change the camera around a little bit. So it goes a bit like this. Just zoom. No, that's, I mean, ignore my grubby as anything desk. So, say for example, we are attacking an orc. Orcs always get it in for it, just because it's the way they are. We're a fairly specialised fighter, so we have 5 virility, strength. We have 5 ranks in axe fighting, and we have a skill that gives us +1. Okay, a standard orc goes 4 points of dodge in combat, because that's one of their skills. 3 points of adroitness, and we're in a level 1 dungeon. We roll the dice, and I'll try and do this and keep them separate. Still probably could do with zooming in a little bit on there. Brilliant. And I roll the player's dice. We're looking for the highest dice. Okay. Any ties are discarded and taken away. So I've got an 18 and an 18. GM's got a 20. Nothing on the player's side. Fantastic. So the orc has dodged out the way. Reroll that. Give us a better example. You're going to give us a better example? Yeah. Oh, we had an 18. So we have a 20. Win on the player's side of things. 1 success. You count all of the dice that you've got which are higher than your opponent's highest dice. So at the moment, we've got 1 success because we've got a single 20 on the player's side. Player's next highest dice is an 18, while the GM's got a load of 18s. If we scratch them for narrative purposes, we then have got 15 high on the GM side of things. So anything higher than 15 is going to be an additional success. So there is 3 successes. Every dice that you have, every success that you have, and this is kind of the rule of successes, is either 1 narrative fact that you can state or 1 die that you can carry forward to your next roll. So for example, in this case, we can say, right, I just add 3 extra damage dice. So when I roll, I'm going to be rolling my weapons damage value, 3 dice, plus my strength, 5 dice, plus those 3 extra. This is where you need those extra dice for it. Armor, you don't roll for. It's kind of static, but you just take 1 point of attribute, and it's your hit points that you have, and then attributes that you can do as well. Or I could say 1 point of extra damage, disarm him, cut a hole in his armor. So I'm not doing any extra damage this round, but narratively, he doesn't get his armor for the next round. Narratively, he doesn't have his weapon in his hand for the next round, and so on. So you're building lots of dice like that, and you're kind of using dice to buy story elements. And that's why, and again, even just talking about this, the number of games that I've done to do these videos and thought, I really like this bit, I really like this bit, but that's the bit where that's where this game kind of clicks. It does seem a little bit clunky, but effectively, the thing that we put in was that when you've rolled your pool of dice, because obviously one person's not rolling both of them, you look at your own pool and I'll say 20 high because I've got a 20. If my opponent then says, oh, 17 high, then I know I'll win. And every dice higher than my opponent's dice, I'm going to get that successful. The rulebook specifically does state that you don't have to use 20-sided dice. It suggests them because that gives you quite a wide swing range. Because if you're rolling a pool of 10-sided dice, the successes are going to be narrower because there's less swing per dice. You could do this with D12s. If you wanted to give D12s some love, this would work really well with D12s. I was messing around with D12s the other day, and they just don't stop rolling. They just keep on going. So D12s, you could do it with that one. Still quite a heroic side of things. D6s, you're not going to get that many successes because, again, you've got a very narrow strike rate. Don't try this with D4s, partially because if you drop any, you're going to be looking at a bag of caltrops. But D20s is quite nice because we all got D20s. Nice and simple. So that's the dice and bolts of Donjon by Clinton R. Nixon. I didn't check Drive Through RPG. I don't know where you're going to get it. I'm awfully sorry. Stats plus skill plus modifier gives you a pool of 20-sided dice. Roll against an opposing pool of 20-sided dice. Count the number of dice that you've got which are higher than your opponent's highest dice. Roll well, and I will see you around.